Okay, welcome to another edition of Field of Dreams on ACTS Television Network. My name is Steve David, and with me is my two co-hosts, Everett Galley Cummins and Maylie Atten Johnson. Joining us today, we have three guests. We have Leroy Dillion, we have Ron LaForest, and I have Narada Wilson. Always forget your name, Narada. Narada Wilson. Thank you guys for being here. Welcome.
A pleasure.
Thank you.
Today we want to talk about professionalism in football. And this is a show we talk football and football only. All about football. So my first question or thought to you guys would be, what do you think is the difference between being an amateur and a professional, or what it takes to be a professional if you're an amateur? So we're talking to the kids and whoever else out there. And
All right, Steve, I'll go. I think for me personally, being an amateur, because I've never signed a professional contract. And I think when you want to become a professional, you have to think like one and act like one. And a lot of the players in Trinidad and Tobago, they don't understand that, being a professional is not only about money, it's a mindset. And for me personally, I've always, carried about myself in a professional way, even though I have never signed on a dotted line. It have times where, Caledonia is training Carnival week or Carnival Tuesday for the Caribbean Cup, and myself and Tasha St. Louis, they're training with them. So it takes a lot, and I think the players in Trinidad and Tobago need to understand it takes a lot to become a professional. It's not only about the money, and I think also the organization, the clubs, the administration, some of them don't act in a professional way, so it trickles down to the players as well. And
we had a few professionals here in the midst, and I'm sure they have their part to say. I mean, we've been there, we've been through it. We know what goes on in the locker room. We know what goes on in the clubhouse. We know what goes on the field. So help us.
I will jump in here. I agree to what she's saying, but I go a little bit deeper than that. It starts with your attitude from this level as a young person. It starts in your school. It starts in your training session with your clubs. That's where it starts. You can't wait until you become a grown person and then try to teach you professionalism. It doesn't work that way at all. Just like everything else in school. You learn here, and as you get older, you branch off to whatever profession you want. The attitude from here must carry on all the way through your life. Professionalism is something simple as far as I'm concerned. It's hard work mentally. You have to be mentally strong. Number one, you have to have talent. You have to have talent. If you don't have talent, you can train every day. It doesn't mean anything. Find what you're good at. Aspire to become the best person you can all the time, regardless of what people say. You'll never make it. If we have a bad connotation here in Trinidad and Tobago with parents telling the children they can't do this or you shouldn't do that, and that resonates with a child as a young child growing up. Never give up. Never give up. If you need help, ask questions. Ask people that can help you. Surround yourself with positive people. And as far as I'm concerned, from then, you find a Ron LaForest, a Steve David, a Galley Cummins for football, and I don't remember, I forgot your name, excuse me. The young lady here, and have them help you. They've been there. Learn from your elders. Learn. There's a lot of information upstairs with the mature people, not elders, the mature people. Learn. Go on, and we used to ask questions as kids with the older folks, and we learn.
So, what you're talking about now is the discipline it would take to become a professional.
Yeah.
So, and you're right, with the kids, they do have to have the discipline from here.
Exactly.
And to take them there. But no, let's get into to tell them what it takes to be a professional.
Well, just to link on what Maylie said and what Leroy already endorsed, is that professionalism is an attitude. It's as Leroy said, and Mealy said, it's something you grow with. It's like something you go to the playing field. It's about time. It's everything to do with your development. I remember back in 1967 when Leroy, Archie, Dan Stedman, and myself, I think we were about the first guys coming out at the colleges league to sign a professional contract. I went to Atlanta and they went to New York. I went to the Atlanta Chiefs and they went to the New York Generals. And my first season, I didn't understand what I understood. I had all the qualities to be a professional player, but at the end of the season, when the coach did an evaluation on me, he said to me, he said, next year you will be a seasoned professional. You know you're a very good amateur. And he wasn't talking about my attitude, he was talking about my playing experience, because that is also an area people today call themselves professionals, as Leroy said. Some of them can't even trap the ball, or they get in front of the goals and miss occasionally. I mean, but to be quite honest with you, I have lived that way, and the endorsement, see, we have Mr. Ron Lafferty, who has also lived that way, and we have a kind of attitude that people feel sometimes you're arrogant because you don't live like other people.
That's confidence.
It's confidence.
Yes.
And like people might say, listen, man, we're having a big party, and I say, well, listen, I don't drop by, but I have to go.
Yes.
Sometimes I pick myself up, I remember training 3 times a day, and people say, is this guy going crazy? No, I was working on my craft. And I speak for everybody here, Mealy and Ron and Narada and Leroy, you know. And as I said, I'm so happy today in this segment of the program to see that the 4 of us, Steve, you, Ron, and Dilly, and myself, was on the 78 World Cup team, right. On the team together. Now we are here telling people out there what it is. You know what I mean? To achieve that kind of goal, to achieve these goals. And I just want to make one statement before I pass on to Narada, is that something about our professional league here, we seem to be breeding a kind of a professional player that cannot meet up to the kind of expectations that we have out there.
We're going to help them.
That's why we have to help them. Because I was at a game just recently, I think we played Panama. And I didn't go there to see Panama, but I ended up seeing Panama because Panama had about 75% of the ball. And you know, it's not, I know they were trying out players and doing different things, you understand? I went there specifically to also see a youngster that plays with Dilly's team, Steve, your team point. I think his name is Joseph.
Marcus Joseph.
And I didn't think I saw him.
He came on
late,
5 minutes.
Yeah. And because the first time I saw this youngster, I know he's the son of Lyric Joseph, who we call Lobo. I practiced against him when I was at UTT, up at UTT's ground. And this guy was like scoring goals. I thought he was my guess until he did it again. I wanted to see him at that level because, as I say, we have coaches in Trinidad and we have players who look very good at club level. But as we all know, when you go to international level, it's something completely different.
Okay, as we go through this program, let's take it in so we can kind of take them through the steps of being a professional. All right, so let me hear what you had to say, Ron, and you had to say, Narada, and then we would break it into steps as how.
Of course. Let me use me as an example. I came from a fishing village in Caranas. I was 14 years young. You know, I received a scholarship from Belmont, and I've been hearing about Leroy DeLeon and Gally Cummins and Steve David and these type of people. All right, and when I started to go Belmont, I work with this here. All right, I started to take clippings off of the papers, you know, to really follow these people's career. All right, which I did up to this day. Being a professional up to this day, I look at Everett Gally Cummins, one of the top professionals in the country. All right, Leroy DeLeon, here he is, you know, and Steve David behind. I look at you guys as professionals. So, coming from a small business in Caranas, I say, well, I want to be something like these people. So I started training me. At 14 years, I tried to train myself to be a professional in terms of I don't smoke, I don't drink, I eat properly and stuff like that. I train very hard, you follow me? I watch what I eat, and I do the things that a professional need to do. I don't disrespect people. You know, I live for the game because of you guys. You know what I'm saying? So here it is with the young generation now. I don't think they idolize people to be a professional. They just have some talent and they just want to go out there and make some money, and that is about it. But from my perspective, I really look up to you guys, and it's a pleasure. Me, who I turn out to be, is to you guys, which I respect very much.
Thank you.
I think I'll have to go along the lines, Mr. Ranlafore, because it was something I said on a program recently. We don't give the youths an opportunity to see what it takes to be what they want to be. So you have a 5-year-old kid that you tell, hey, you can be a professional footballer one day. You can make a lot of money, you can have a good living, but they don't see anyone that has done it. We don't bring back the players that have done it before to show them that it's possible for somebody in your community, somebody that came from your background, somebody that went to the school that you went to do the great things that you see on TV. We see things so far ahead. We see the Cristiano Ronaldos, you know, guys who are way out of what they could actually see around their community and expect them to reach there. So the first thing, I believe in being a professional, you have to have a goal, you have to have a dream, and you also have to know what it takes to reach there. So no matter what, it could be any job. If you want to be the best lawyer, you need to know you need to go to X school, you need to probably go along these lines, whether it be criminal, corporate, if you want to go, and, you know, go behind certain cases, read of certain cases or lawyers that were better than you or you would like to aspire to. Once you have that, as you said, how many people know that Cristiano Ronaldo doesn't drink? But what about the local guys? Do we know what Dwight York it took for him? Do we know what it took for Gali Cummins, for Lafore to take it to that next step? We give them a limited vision and expect them to think beyond. They don't see what the Pro League really has to offer. I tell people one of the biggest things that I ever did when I wrote an article for FIFA was make it known. You have to make it known what these guys did. We need to know the stories, the hardships, the luxuries for them to actually aspire to something. In Brazil, for example, all the kids know they want to be footballers because they believe that they will become wealthy, they can take care of their families, they'll be able to travel the world because they see it from guys who lived and grew up with them to become guys that they're watching on TV today. We don't have that.
You know, go ahead.
No, that was same like what Narada is saying. A lot of players don't think outside of Trinidad, right? Because some of them haven't experienced the lifestyle outside of Trinidad. For me, it's not until I left Trinidad to head to the United States is where I get a different perspective on life on a whole. And, you know, even after college is when I trained with Atlanta Beat, you know, one of the professional team that was in the women's team. And you're seeing players coming in with a gallon of water, you know, who's doing ice bath before training and after training, coming in an hour before the session. So all these things. So I was placed in an environment that I can see what it takes to become a professional, you know, and it's not until then I realized how important fitness is, how important nutrition is, and just adopting a healthy and fitter lifestyle. And it's not until you're placed in a professional environment that is when you would try to, you know, gravitate towards that.
One of the things to is are we having coaches that don't know what it takes to be a professional?
Right.
Are we having people teaching the kids just to win
Exactly.
a game and not looking long term? See, I'm the interim coach right now of Civic. And this is where I'm going. I am going out of the box. I'm telling these guys, you could be this if you want it. I am here to help you.
Of course.
And it's not that I'm just saying that, I've experienced it. I experienced it for a long, many years, coaching, playing with youth. So I know what it takes. And I'm giving them the opportunity now to do that. In the interim, we're winning games. The whole attitude changed,
Right.
and they started enjoying the game now. Because now they're looking outside of the box. They're not just looking at football in Point Fountain in Trinidad. And again, my question is, are we having coaches that cannot articulate to these and tell them the importance of being a professional?
Okay, guys. At this point, we need to take a break. Viewers, we'll be right back after this short break.
Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited offers solutions to your immediate and future potential problem areas by providing you with a qualified team of safety consultants. Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited, building a reputation on quality and value since 1999. Located 23 Todd Street, San Fernando, Trinidad. Phone 868-657-1534 or 868-788-6955. worldwidesafety@yahoo.com.
So welcome back, viewers, to Field of Dreams. Before the break, we were discussing professionalism in football. And, you know, like we saw, different guys had different experiences. You know, my experiences was totally different to some of the other guys because my intention was never to play professional football at all. I was just wanted to be the best I could be in this country. And when I was offered a professional contract and I was in the police service, I went to my superintendent and, you know, and discussed that with him hard because I really didn't want to leave the service to turn professional and then a year later end up not doing nothing. So it was a decision that I had to make, and I made it, and it turned out okay for me. So we will continue, guys, with our discussion in what it takes to be a professional and the way we're being treated in the clubhouse, in the locker room, on the field, in the public, all of that. We need to educate our young professionals here on the way this needs to be done. So I would, again, open it up for whoever wants to share advice.
Let me just do a little continuation of what Dilly spoke about in terms of being a professional. I am blessed right now to be the coach of Rangers, right now as you speak. But, you know, being around Rangers right now, it saddens me in terms of the players, you know. It have players coming to me and telling me about, coach, I eat nothing this morning, and, you know, next one come, I do a rapid session, you go down belly hurting, and I say, what is going on with you? You eat at doubles this morning and that kind of thing. No, I laugh, you know, that's it. So the professionalism in Trinidad and Tobago, it saddens. It saddened me knowing that where I came from and who I look up to, you know, to where we are right now, you know, it's a long way off of being professional.
So go ahead, tell them your experiences, what you think,
you know,
that needs to be developed.
Well, as I said before, when I look at, I must call your name, Gary Cummings and Steve David, but I don't have much around Dilly. You know, Dilly comes later on, but I always heard about him, you know, but to say being a professional, I had dealings with you and Gary Cummings because I played with you all also. You know, when I look at you guys, you know, I say, but this is the way to go. You know, your mannerism, your personality, the way you train and stuff like that. And I put this inside of me, and I know this is the way to go forward, and this is the way I went forward, you know. But the younger ones now, I don't think they have much to look up to in terms of idolizing local folks, you know. So that is a minus for us right now in this country, Steve.
So that's why we have this program here, guys, right? So we can share our knowledge down to the guys who need it. So like Melly was saying, people walk in with a jug of water, which they do, and sometimes is water with whatever they want to put in it, so they can be, you know, be supplemented the way they want to be supplemented. So I mean, there is a lot of things, how they eat, how they train, how they do it. So let's educate.
Yeah, nutrition is a huge part of it, but I would say, you know, professional, you have to be able to sacrifice things that you may not want to sacrifice, or do the thing that you see your friends doing, going parties. You know, some of them smoke. You know, these things you have to give up in order to get on that track to professionalism. You understand? It's doing things that you've never done before. And it is, again, it's just a mindset. And obviously, if you don't know better, you can't do better. So somebody or coaches, or I mean, sometimes the coach and them probably don't even know how to do better. So they need someone to help them along the way as well.
You know, when I turned professional, I had a guy named Warren Archibald who was my mentor.
Right.
And Archie says there's a trick in the trade. Every trade has a trick. He says a carpenter, a boilermaker, iron worker, whatever, a laborer, there's tricks in every trade. And when I got my first paycheck, and I said, actually, I'm going to get this every week, whether I play or not. He says, yep. I says, well, I don't need to try as hard. He says, You see that bench where everybody's sitting there? They're going to replace that next season. So you better make sure you don't end up on that bench. So then something about clicked, and I said, oh, okay. So you have to always get your game better, because everybody looking to take your game, or take you out of your position. So it's competition within the ranks. And that I learned you had to, if the coach said do 10 push-ups, I do 12. So I 2 push-ups better than you. And that is it within the ranks.
Mindset.
And so that is what makes me.
But all that started as a young fella. It's a learned behavior.
The discipline.
It's a learned behavior. Nutrition should start in school. You can't wait until a guy is older to say, hey, well, you had to change your attitude. It's too late. Everything starts here. That competition you're talking about, Steve, I remember us growing up and you always fighting for a spot.
Yeah.
You always fighting for a spot. So, and I'm just like you. I never wanted to go abroad and play professional football. I never. But it happened.
Okay.
And then you learn how to eat properly.
Yeah.
But you have to start small. Everything home was cooked. When we were growing up, it was cooked.
True.
As a matter of fact, Leroy, when we playing against teams from Port of Spain, we said, they can't beat you guys. Them fellas that eat in the parlor. they don't eat for food, right?
That is true. That is not.
Yeah?
That same mindset, what Meeting talking about, that same mindset. This morning was a perfect example of this mindset. You know, my past experience of being in the army and stuff like that. Smell. Gary called me and tell me to come down by him for 9 o'clock. All right, but my mindset as a player, it instilled in me. You know, when it was 8:30, I waiting for Gary Cummins. Yeah. Listen to me, God. You're talking about professional football. You want to be a professional. 8:30, I waiting for Mr. Gary Cummins. All right. Pick up the telephone. Hey, Gary, what's going on? I say, I'm here. 8:30. Mindset you're talking about, right? So we had to wait. Gary said, give him 10 minutes. 10 minutes time, Gary come. He said, I'm waiting on some guy, and it was just him. All right? So I started to get upset now. No disrespect to you, because my mindset, the way I train, I remember playing games before. The night before I played the game already. Yeah. You follow what I'm trying to tell you? So this instilled in me, right? Yeah. So here it is, 9 o'clock. We're waiting for this gentleman here. So I said, Gary, what's this? You know, we're not supposed to be waiting for him. You know, this kind of way. All right. And Gary said, he said, give him a few minutes. All right. Mindset, smell. I turned right away in terms of, I didn't grow up that way. You follow me? Being a professional, time is time.
Right.
You follow what I'm trying to tell you? It's not as you mentioned, just money alone, you know.
Right.
You know, 9 o'clock is 9 o'clock, the things they eat, the things they do, and that type of thing. So the young ones, I think we have to instill these things inside of them in terms of is a holistic things you have to get towards them in terms of you want to be a professional, this is the way you have to go.
But you know, just touching on what you said, each of these characteristics that we would touch on, there had to be some sort of repercussion if you didn't adhere to them. So for example, you know, you're saying the diet, but you know, some of these guys aren't eating well, but they're still playing. So what are you really teaching them if they go onto the field and play 90 minutes, they score a goal and there's no punishment? There may be a possibility of a fine, but money isn't really a big issue at times. If you're going to just take away 10% or something, they may skip on that. The time, reaching early or late, there are a lot of things. When I used to bring foreign players into the country, a lot of coaches would always tell me the reason why they accept the foreign players is because they're guaranteed if they have training 7 times a week, they're going to come early 7 times a week, and they're going to come 7 times. The locals, there's a chance you'll miss 2, and they may come late for 3.
That's true.
That's the reality. But what are we, when they reach late, what is the repercussion? I always remember one thing Mr. Skeen told me one time. How is it that we never late for a flight? How is it it could be raining, it could have a storm, but yet still we reach in the airport to get our flight? Why we don't miss it? Why we don't reach half an hour late or an hour late? For some strange reason, nobody wants to reach late for that, but they could reach late for training because of rain, right? But there's no sort of repercussion for, you know, your actions. And I think diet is very important, but we need to show a player that with that diet, you may have a prolonged career. A professional player, you have to show him, okay, as a professional, you may have, let's say, 5, 10, 15 years of a good income, being able to attain all your goals, achieve everything you want to achieve on and off the field. But in order to do so, you have to adhere to certain guidelines. Just as in your job, you can't disrespect the boss. You can't come late every day and expect to keep your job. So you want to work for 30 years. The same thing has to apply in football.
Yeah.
You can't disrespect the coach. But to touch on the point with the coaches, and just as Meili said, the clubs have to also show that, okay, if these guys didn't come from a young age where they were getting healthy food and knowing things on time, you are now the institution to teach them.
Right.
If parents fail at home, the school is usually the institution that teaches a child. Their children that come from battered homes, but yet they grow up to be something. What was the reason that they grew up to be something? Because there were other people in their lives, whether it be the school, whether it be their job, that took that family sort of, cover for them and raise them. If the clubs aren't doing that, coaches aren't doing that, the agents aren't doing that, then the whole system is failing the players. Because the players, you don't have to only come from home with it. If you didn't get it at home, somebody else has to take up the reins.
Exactly. And that's a great point, because when you take a player like Cohen Jamot and Denzel Theobald, same area, Nelson Street,
The community would have failed
one
them.
more talented than the other, but which one succeeded? The one with the less talent, but he ended up becoming a true professional, whether it was in his later stage of his life, but he became one. And I just think, it don't always start from home, because some people just have tough situations at home, or people who don't know better.
Yeah.
But at a club or an institution, they need to teach that as well.
And just to touch something quickly, you guys played in an era where finances in Trinidad was not the highest.
No.
So what motivated you to aspire to be a professional without everything that they have now, and they're not doing it?
Man, this is what I was telling you in the earlies, right? These guys motivated me. That's 14 years. You follow me? So I don't know, this generation, they have everything.
You see, you don't have the Dwight Yorks and this one and that one coming back to show, these are the things you need to do to become a professional. They're
Do you
selfish,
think you
they
could
keep
call
these things
3
to
of the players on
themselves.
your team right now who could show you clippings of players that they, just how you have yours?
Who
you
they
think you could
admire.
find?
Yeah,
Only
who
one
they
man in
looked up
Trinidad do
to.
that right now. That's me.
Yeah, but
You follow me?
as Steve was saying, I want to look outside a little bit. I remember signing a 2-year contract at Veracruz in Mexico. And when I was going through my orientation with the manager, and I had to come out to halftime and meet the team during a game and this kind of thing, the first thing that presented to me in the dressing room was a booklet of the don'ts.
The do's and the don'ts.
do's
Those
and
are the
don'ts.
don'ts.
Yes.
And you had a booklet you had to go through. If you didn't understand Spanish, they had an interpreter there for you. And anytime you fell short of those expectations, you were suspended financially as well from physically from the club. And the dietitian gave us a sheet what to eat and what not to eat. And every time we go into the dressing room, we had to weigh on a scale.
Yes.
So they're checking your weight. And anytime you come over your body weight, you understand that you should be, you'll be fine. So as you were saying, it was not a question of just getting money and going out there and training. Plus, if you look at teams here, I don't want to call no name. I was coaching a team for 5 years in Trinidad, right? And one of our institutions, and I had no assistant coach, no trainer, no doctor, I was training a team and praying to God that nobody gets hurt. You understand? So it's difficult because so my whole training program had to be changed or modified in such a way that at the end of the day, nobody gets hurt. But going back to what we're talking about, I remember when I first went to Atlanta Chiefs, I was about 18, 19 years old, now leaving Fatima College. And my uniform was hung up in the dressing room from the laundry. In other words, all I had to focus on is playing. Everything was there. The doctor was there, the trainer was there, the physiotherapist, everything was in place. You come back here now, we came back to play the national team, and I had to go and be under a standpipe.
Okay. Okay, guys, at this point we need to take a break. Viewers will be right back after this short break. Here we go.
Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited offers solutions to your immediate and future potential problem areas by providing you with a qualified team of safety consultants. Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited, building a reputation on quality and value since 1999. Located 23 Todd Street, San Fernando, Trinidad. Phone 868-657-1534 or 868-788-6955. worldwidesafety@yahoo.com.
Welcome back, viewers, to Field of Dreams. This is Axe Television Network. Before the break, we were discussing professionalism in football, and we were making a point. Who was making a point at that point then? Anyhow, one of you guys were making a point about what it takes and off the field activities and
we're talking about nutrition.
So for right, Steve, let me say, for me, when I was on the national team, early stages, 14, 15, go straight up. You know, after every training session, I live in the West. We used to go by South Key to get KFC. After every single session, that was normal for us, right? And 15, 16, you know, they used to call me chubby because I was talented, but chubby. You understand? And not until as I said, I left Trinidad and Tobago, I understand the importance of eating healthy, nutrition, hydration, working hard, you know, and fitness. And, you know, that the decision for me to leave Trinidad was the best decision I've made thus far, you know, because it gave me a whole different perspective on life in general. And I think that attributed to me having a professional mindset.
And that's some of the things that I want us to educate the people with, because, I mean, not only diet and how you live your life and the changes that you have made to make that happen and all of that kind of stuff.
There's something that, you know, a lot of people don't look back at, and it's something even in Brazil they use. Trinidad's football in the early stages was a military-based style football. In terms of, most of the guys went through the military, whether it be the army, they went through the police service. So there was that sort of training from having to respect your superiors, eat on time, time management, fitness. That is what the football was based around. Even if it was a team of 15 players and 10 were, the other 5 had to do the same in order to keep up.
All right.
Today, not many of our players go through that. So you find we don't have a regime. We have a lot of educated people in this country. Persons have gone abroad and studied, but we don't have them in the field. There's no way we could still have players eating a certain diet when we have at least 100 sports nutritionists that have studied abroad and came back to this country. We need to realize that we have to sit down and actually devise a philosophy or a style or what it takes to be a professional or maintain a life as a professional in this country. Before, it wasn't a spoken rule, but it was understood based on example. Today, there aren't any examples, so we actually have to write down a concrete rule. You have to eat this, you have to train these amount of hours, you have to do this sort of program, your time management has to be this in order for us to catch up to where the world is. So we can't just do it based on looking at other people because we don't have the examples at home.
Yeah.
Gary, tell the people a day in your life as a professional, what a day look like when you get up in the morning to when you go to bed at night.
Well, the day started, my day for me started the day before.
Right.
So you start preparing the day before because you have to get up about 5 in the morning. I live at Donovan Street, close to the Savannah was like my backyard, a stone tree. So I would get up at 5 o'clock and do the Savannah with a football at my feet. Right? Do it twice. And what I used to do, every little tree I saw with a little fork shape, I would chip the ball through it and run around and pick it up. Right? Then any little rail I see, I would pass the ball. So I made my training so interesting that I used to do it like a regular thing. So after that, what I would do is take the ball and master, throw it, turn, do all the different things that I could do technically with the ball. I'll do it at that time. Then I'll spend about 2.5 hours, do some short sprints. I would set up like little things. I didn't have the equipment, so I set up little things like in my yard, like hang a bicycle tire on a rope, chip the ball through it, put some stumps on a wall, and hit the ball. So it's, for accuracy. And then I come back at lunchtime at about 1, 2 o'clock, and just do some change the speed and change the direction and this kind of thing, and walk, a sort of recovery kind of training around the same savannah, and then come back at 4:30 in the evening when everybody's home from work, and then put everything into practice. And that was a normal day for me, right? People started to think that something was wrong with me, right? Until I landed a professional contract. And when I got the professional contract, I started to work more because the energy, the system was different. When I went to Atlanta, I couldn't believe that after a training session, I didn't have to look to worry who washed my gears. You just throw your gears in a basket, a moving kind of basket, and then you go take a shower. It's no standpipe, it's showers. Everybody's showering together. You had to eat together. You had to do everything together. You had they give you a tracksuit. It was a sort of uniformity, not only in training, but in the way you dress. You had your blazer. You had to look good. You understand? You see, like I'm looking now, you had to look good. So basically, let me wrap up. Let me wrap up. And my problem was when I came home to play. Now, after coming off that high and that understanding of professionalism, a matter of fact, before we started the season, the FBI came in and spoke to us. I wanted to know what the FBI wanted to talk to the team about. They wanted to talk about throwing games. Because people gamble and this kind of thing. And they warned us that if we get mixed up in that, what the penalties were. But my problem when I came back home, there was a lack of respect. Because you were trying to not get the same thing, but you were trying to educate the players around you, you understand, about what their life was and what you had to go through. And I had a whole community in the savannah with me. I would go try to pass on some knowledge to the guys in the area, right? But what I realized is that in Trinidad and Tobago, professionalism is a thing of the past. People don't want to hear about it because they feel it's too disciplined, it's too rigid. It's not disciplined or rigid. As Leroy said, it's an attitude and a mindset that you develop from small. And you're trying to take it anywhere you go. Not only on the football field, even with your family at home, your kids, your wife, your neighbors, whoever.
Let me just touch on what Gali is saying because I want to bring it to Trinidad. When we talk about Trinidad Pro League football, why is it that the name W Connection constantly comes up as one of the most professional teams? And I'll say because they've put a facility in place. How many people have ever, and I always tell Mr. John William that he needs to expose certain things he's done for people to understand. Has anyone gone down to Clarkson Bay, see the facility that he has down there for them? He basically has a 3-story house that each of the players has a room, right, on the first 2 levels. The bottom level, he has a kitchen where he has people come in, they cook breakfast and lunch, right? Whether it be pilau, meat, whatever. The foreign players have access to this. There's a room that he used a big container and built an entire dining room where all the players sit down and have lunch together. The right time. They all get dropped from this facility directly to the training and back. So these guys are constantly in an environment with each other, training constantly, eating at the right time. He also ensures that they have money to buy food if it is that on the weekend, because I think they do the catering from like during the week.
But not everybody can do
right. So my thing is that if this is this club, what some other clubs have done, and I'm trying to give solutions, where the nutrition is a problem, we see Caledonia, for example, give players at the end of games a meal, whether it be a sandwich, they have fruits and all that. So we have to find ways for the clubs to take care of what the player has a shortfall of. Because we could say today, a player is eating doubles. But what is the club doing to try and rectify that problem?
Okay.
So the solution has to be...
But does it start with the club?
No, it starts with the player, but we have to remember that not all players would understand. So we now have to try to fill the void. What they can't do, some other organization or institution has to come up with a solution until it reaches a point where it becomes part of the mindset of everyone.
So we understand nutrition is part of that. But
the next problem would be time management. What is the penalty if you reach late to training or not?
We talked about that already. So let's go into more things. Things that in a day, like Gali says, he came with his game.
Right. So he
Because
did that.
he had to train. He had to train and do all the things in Savannah. And when he goes as a professional, don't ask me to teach you these things.
Right.
You better come with your game.
Yeah,
No,
they
we
come to
train
the
in this country 1 time per day, most clubs.
Okay,
for
so
2
we need
hours.
to teach them that.
Right. So what happens with the rest of the time? If
Okay.
the players aren't doing it on their own, shouldn't we find a solution to maybe say clubs should train twice a day? No, it boils down to finance and all of that. But we have to find a way for these players to understand that the minimum we're asking of them isn't adequate for them to be at the top. But
Delion, tell them a day in your professional life. A day in your professional. I played with you, and we lived in the same town, and we did things. Tell them a day in our life, our professional life.
It's almost carbon
Like what
copy
Gary But a
to
little different because Gary give us
here,
his
in
preparation
Trinidad.
here and then, but in the state, but in the U.S. Let's educate them how to do it in the U.S.
well, it's like I said, attitude. I wanted to be the best player I could up there. My first experience with the New York Generals, I came out of Trinidad after '69 and no, before that. I came out of Trinidad and went there, and I was awesome. And I couldn't play because they had all these guys, these old English guys. I call them old. They were 35, 36, and I'm 18. But I was better than them. I couldn't play. I used to pray for these guys to get hurt. I'm telling you, I used to pray for them to get hurt. It so happened that a couple of them did get hurt, and they put me into the game. Because when you go to the locker room, there is you go just like this. That's it, and your boots. Everything else is there for you. And I saw my name up on the board as a starter, and I said, I got it today. We played against a team from Pittsburgh, I can't remember their name, at Yankee Stadium. We beat them 3-0. I scored all 3 goals. From the kickoff, I took 1 goal. Scored all 3 goals. The next game, nice dress, my name not even a reserve on the board.
Why?
Well, that's just how it is. But when you wake up in the morning, you go through all the rituals, right? I want you guys to tell the people the rituals you guys
This
go
is
through
where I'm
as a
going now.
professional.
This is where I'm going.
Okay.
'Cause I thought maybe I didn't do something, so I need to go and improve.
Right.
Hence the reason I used to get up in the morning and go and run. I mean, football, to make things worse, some little young lady said she liked me, and I just kind of push her aside because that's not me. I am thinking, give me a football. So I went and practiced every day. As long as I have time, I went and practiced. 8, practice. Next morning I get up, the same thing. When they're done practicing, we are still practicing. When the coach says everything is over, you to beg the equipment man, hey, leave a couple of balls and I'll bring it in when I'm done. And I had tried to improve. Why am I not playing? I'm good enough to play. I know I'm better than them. And I kept going. The only Archie was playing at the time because they didn't have any natural left winger, so he was playing. You know, and I have to be in this team. And finally I said, you know what? They're not going to play me. In 1969, I came home and I said, I'm not going back. I went to Costa Rica with the Trinidad national team and ended up being MVP in World Cup qualifying. And I got contracts to go to England, and I didn't like English football at all, so that was a no. We ended up going to Washington, D.C. with Lincoln Phillips.
Okay, but like Arizona, let's say we played in Arizona together. We get up in the morning, we go to practice. We had to.
Yeah.
So we go to practice. You know what? At this point, let's take a break right now, and viewers, we'll be right back after this short break, and we pick up where we left off.
Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited offers solutions to your immediate and future potential problem areas by providing you with a qualified team of safety consultants. Worldwide Safety Consultants Limited, building a reputation on quality and value since 1999. located 23 Todd Street, San Fernando, Trinidad. Phone 868-657-1534 or 868-788-6955. worldwidesafety@yahoo.com.
Welcome back to Field of Dreams, viewers. When we left, we were talking about professionalism and how a day in our professional life. And you know, we get up in the morning, we go to practice. We get there an hour before. We do all our stretches and our warm up, and that by the time the coach gets there, we're ready to go. So we cannot wait and walk in 5 minutes before and ready to go and play ball. And that's not how it is. So we're going to continue to discuss how our rituals that we go through for practice and how we prepare for games, and the night before, the hours we spend going through the game. When we come out that day, we walk out in the field, we walk down the field, the things we think about, and our concentration and all these things we're going to talk about in this segment. Okay? So let's try to educate our young professionals here in Trinidad about the rituals that we go through and how we approach game situations and locker rooms and clubhouses and all that.
Let me just talk to Narada a little bit. A while ago you talk about we had something to motivate us back in our era. And we do have things to motivate us now. Because I remember taking a bunch of local players, right, and changing the whole mindset of the team. I took this gentleman here, and I brought him to the national team back in 1990, because our team didn't have that kind of movement, and De Leon wasn't here. And Ron Lafroy came to the team and started to make the deft pass and the slip and move and the blind pass, whatever, right? And I brought him because I wanted somebody to replace, to bring that back to the football, and he did. I took the style of Leroy De Leon, as I like to say it as he's here, and I tried to bring it back with Latapi and these kind of players, the kind of individualism and how it connects to the team play. Sure. And I was the motivating force. I had those players doing everything I wanted to when coaches before had them for almost 10 years and couldn't do anything, right? So I am saying that we have this motivating force here, but it's not being used. And Ron was a while ago commending Leroy for the work he's doing with things. And as Leroy said, he's taking these players and he's teaching them things that maybe nobody knew before. So we have something to motivate people here.
I think, players as well have to hold themselves accountable. And the motivation don't need to come from a coach or a player from abroad. It comes from your situation at home. Some of these players come from, difficult situations, and that alone should be your motivation to get out of the ghetto and make your parents or your mother proud. And I think that was one of my motivations, was to, be my mother's prized possession and make her proud. And that alone, and a lot of them are talented players who came from difficult situations, and they just play the fool with their talent. You understand? I mean, I've met a lot of the players. Look, at Toulon they went out, look, they're back here. These players should, learn from where they came from and want to do better, not only for themselves, but for their families. So.
One of the things you got to do too, and I agree with you, is that in order for a person to improve, I think you have to surround yourself with that
positive,
kind of, you can't just say, yeah, I'll improve, and then you go back doing the same nonsense day after day after day. Yeah. So you pull them out and you give them another side. Hey, this is okay, but this is better. This is more productive.
And one player I've seen done that, because I'm Cali till I die. So Denzel Theobald, I've seen him transform a couple players on that team. Literally, as I said, They come with their gallon, Denzel come with his gallon of water every single day with some other
And he
protein
understands,
drink,
yes.
stretching for 30 minutes after sessions, coming early and doing whatever you need to do to work on your craft. And he, you know, took some of the younger players, take them to breakfast on after the sessions. If it's double session, take them to dinner. And I know that for a fact because I was there, you know, and it's these things, those players from abroad coming back here and taking that invested interest in other younger players.
Well, Ron, before, I wanted to ask you and Dilly a question because both of you working in the Pro League, right? And Dilly, what it is you did or is doing at this time that have the team, you know, up in arms and playing well and doing different things? Don't answer this. And Ron, you have a task on your hand right now.
I love it.
With Rangers, right?
Yeah, a nice challenge.
And I mean, you guys going to teams that Leo went to a team where the coach left and maybe motivation was low, and he's using something about his personality.
Sure.
It ain't bound to be football. It's something about off the field, life or whatever. And I would like you all, starting with Leroy, to explain to us, well, what it is you all doing or have done to create this turnaround.
Very short, because again, this is not a coaching. This
is professionalism.
Professionalism.
Right.
But go ahead, very short on that.
One of the things I started doing with them when I first went in is to let them know that I'm not here trying to take Mr. Carrington's spot.
Right.
Okay, he assembled a nice group of players, and for whatever reason he left. I was hired to coach him. I gave him confidence. Every time I went to practice, I tried to break one bad habit. They didn't even know what I was trying to do. But if I break 4 bad habits in the week, then I'm good to go. Every practice session, 1 bad habit. I didn't tell him it was a bad habit, but and I changed the practice sessions.
All right, great.
Well, on my part, I went in with a plus in terms of who am I, you know?
Yeah.
Because as mentioned to them, you know, my name's not beating my own drum, we made a household name.
Yeah.
And I didn't get here by just
True.
talking. You know, so there's a lot of work went in, and to get where I've been, a lot of work have to be goes in through you all. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm trying to change some of the mentality and some of the habits to turn it around in that aspect.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to give each of you guys 1 minute to tell us what's on your mind or give us some advice or whatever you want to give us to close the show. We have 1 minute each. Let's start with Gally, not you, Gally. Let's start with Melly.
Well, as I started off the show with, for the players out there, you need to understand that professionalism is not only about money, it's a mindset. And just surround yourself with positive individuals, and positivity will come your way.
Ron?
Yes, of course. Again, to the players out there, as Merlin mentioned, attitude have to change, you know. The way you live your life, you know, no matter what village you come from, you know, put your head above water, dig deep, work hard, and success will take its course.
Okay, you say attitude have to change. We have to help them change it. As coaches, we have to help them change it because some of these guys are coming from
different background.
Different background. That's the other thing. The young players today need to respect themselves, respect their coaches. Okay. And it goes vice versa. The coach has to learn to respect the players and do his or her job according to the wishes of some of these young people. I'm talking about young, I'm not talking about professional young people, because you don't know if this guy's had a breakfast, if this guy mother hit him, father hit him. We don't know the problems they're having outside of football. So you have to treat everybody differently.
Okay.
No, for me, I think the on-the-field professionalism is improving. You know, players know to come on time, uniforms, whatever. I think the problem is off the field. I think when they are not around the club and the coaches, what they do in their private time, where are they training on their own? Are they eating right at home? are they, making sure that they take care of their bodies and they have the right people around them? I think the off-the-field professionalism is what would take them to the next level. Once they fix that, they're fine.
If you want crowds to come back to the game, you have to have something to sell.
Yep.
I totally agree with you, Gali.
Very, very true.
Football is entertainment, just like you go to the movies. And without the talented players, we don't have it. But for my advice to the ones out there, grab a mentor. Get somebody who is a good mentor.
True.
And stick with them and make sure that you follow their lead. They have only good things to say. My parents always talked to me as a kid, and sometimes I didn't listen, and now I want to thank them for it. Mm-hmm. Okay, we have to close the show now. I want to thank you guys, my panel, for giving us such good advice and trying to educate the public out there and things that they need to do. I want to thank Axe Television Network for giving us the opportunity to bring this show to the viewers. Thank you, viewers, for letting us into your homes. And every night or every Monday night on Axe Television Network, and stay tuned and keep turning us on and keep listening to the things we have to say. Also, don't forget, you can join us on our Facebook page. You can see the show that we post there as well. Also, you can email us at fieldofdreamstt@gmail.com. And like I said, every Monday night we on Axe Television Network. You can view us. My name is Steve David, and at this point, I've got to say good night.